Welcome to the Introduction to the ETCA DaSy Framework Self-Assessment Comparison Tool. This guide will help you to navigate the comparison tool after you've performed the ETCA DaSy Framework Self-Assessment. If you haven't completed that yet, it's recommended you either do so or view the tutorial on how to use the self-assessment. The comparison tool is used to quickly compare quality indicator and element ratings over time, and it's easy to use. This introduction covers the basics of what you need to know. The guidance document provides detailed, step-by-step instructions, which are also found on the Instructions tab in this file. Use of the comparison tool relies on access to self-assessment data for at least one component or subcomponent across at least 2 points in time. Before you begin, you should get a few things ready. The first important thing before you begin is to make sure you have 2 completed self-assessments for the same component for at least 2 points in time. Be sure to check that the ratings of each of the components are complete. Also make sure that the dates of completion for each component you will compare are entered in the corresponding self-assessment file. The second important thing is to ensure that your self-assessment files follow the proper naming convention, which allows the comparison tool to access and use them. You'll find the format for your self-assessment Excel files in the second step of the Instructions tab. You will need to designate which self-assessment is time 1, which is time 2, and so on. In addition, the comparison tool itself must be named correctly. Once you're ready, open the comparison tool as well as each of the self-assessment files you wish to compare. All of the files have to be open in order for the comparison tool to function. They can be located anywhere, not necessarily in the same folder, so long as they are all open and named correctly while you use the comparison tool. As with the self-assessment, the first thing you'll want to do after opening the comparison tool is enable macros. Depending on your version of Excel, your method of enabling macros may differ. Check the Instructions tab for more details. You'll notice that the comparison tool is laid out similarly to the self-assessment, with a table of contents and tabs you can use to navigate through the tool. Most of the work in using the comparison tool is done in the Import panel. You will not be entering any data directly into the tool. Instead, you'll use the Import tool to bring in data from your other self-assessment files. Select a component to begin importing data. For practice, let's use Quality Standards, QS. You can compare ratings for up to 3 time points. The comparison tool pulls the different dates as well as the quality indicator and element ratings from the designated component. Select QS T1, Quality Standards Time 1, and the data will be brought into the comparison tool. Priority ratings for each of the quality indicators and/or elements will also be imported if they are available. Return to the Import panel to import Time 2 ratings. Use the QS T2 button to import the elements and ratings from your second quality standard self-assessment. Navigating to the QS tab in the comparison tool shows you that both the T1 and T2 columns are filled. Repeat the process for importing quality standards ratings from time 3 if available. The data you've imported not only show up in each respective column, but are also color-coded and graphed in the top right corner of the comparison tool. If you'd like a closer look at the graph, you can use the Hide and Show Elements buttons to collapse or expand the subcomponents. Collapsing the data elements gives more room to display the graph. Once you've imported the data, it's very easy to copy and paste the data and/or graph into another document, for example, for a narrative report. For a more comprehensive comparison, there is also a way to import data for multiple components all at once for time 1, 2, or 3. Select the All button found at the bottom of each time column to bring all of the data from every completed component into the comparison tool. This may take up to a few minutes in order to import all of the data, and you will have to import each time point of self-assessment data individually. That's all it takes. You can take these steps with any self-assessment components you would like to compare or analyze.